If it don't go in the first time, hit it harder. There we go. Okay guys, as you know, I drive my cars pretty hard. I don't go lightly on them, and that is for a reason. I like bashing them, and I also like to show you guys what they're capable of. Now, the JLB CHEETAH, as awesome as it is, does break. Like anything, don't believe what the marketing people will tell you. But I've got a fair few parts here that I need to replace on both of my JLB 21101s. As you can see, I've got a new body shell. There's that. Oops, sorry about the camera. I've got some steering blocks, a CVD set. It's because I munched one of my other ones. I have some of these, a set of these wheel nuts because they're hard to find. The actual thread is different. A new steel spur 52 tooth differential cups. These, I've got two of those. These are different lengths. Here we go there. I'll leave all these parts in the description where you can go check them out. They're all from Banggood, so thanks very much. And also a 15 tooth pinion gear, because when I last done the 4S bash video on the 120 amp, I completely mushed that to smithereens. It looks like a piece of Play-Doh. But what I'll do, I'll fix all this out on the camera with you guys, and yeah, we'll see how we go. Now, if you guys like this, I might do like an RC mechanics style video series, just to show you how to fix these cars, and just for a good old banter and a laugh. So here's the upgraded JLB CHEETAH 120 amp model, and here we have the motor. We need to remove this motor and this kind of, well, we don't really need to remove, sorry, the motor. We can just kind of take this cover off to get underneath here, because that is where the pinion gear is, and the spur gear. You can see in there is the pinion gear, so this needs to come off. Now take notice when you're taking out these screws, because they are a little bit different in length. These front two here, you can tell they got the Loctite on there because it's going into the metal, and these rear ones are the longer ones. Now with some of these cheaper Chinese made RC cars, there obviously has got to be a catch to why they're so cheap, and sometimes the steel they use for the screws and stuff like that isn't the best. It kind of gets hollowed out pretty easily, and you can strip the bit. So make sure when you're doing these, you firmly insert your driver in there and make sure it's seated correctly. There's nothing in there, because you will strip that out very easily, and once that happens, and she's good as toast. Now once they're all out, you can just kind of Miranda that bad boy out of there, and there it is. That's just a plastic cover to stop any dirt and ingress getting into this spur and pinion gear there, because as you can see, yep, there's the problem. That's I've munched that nicely. Hopefully there's no damage on the spur gear itself. It looks pretty good. It is quite nice hardened steel, so that is okay. The spur gear came out second best, which is fine by me, because that's easy to replace. A little grub screw there, and like I said, make sure that's in firmly, because you don't want to strip that grub screw out. That is a pain in the you-know-what if you strip that. So kind of slide that out, and let's put the new one on. Not so tough now. That is on like Donkey Kong. Wow. That motor is loose too. But Jesus. There we go. Wow. That was on there good. But yeah. That's one for the scrap heap. Super important to put liquid thread lock on that little grub screw, so that never backs its way out of there. And also these, I like to back out the motor screws, put a little bit of Loctite on there and put them back down tight, because that's a big issue as well. If they just come loose, and they could cause this issue when the motor comes a bit wibbly wobbly. This can cause binding issues and tear up the spur or the pinion like it did here. Now a lot of you guys know this that are experienced in the hobby, but a lot of you guys are new as well. Generally there is a flat spot on the motor shaft, and that is where you want your grub screw to nestle up against and get nice and tight on there, because generally it won't slip on a flat section, but if you tighten it up on a round curve, it might have the tendency to still slip, even though it's tightened up more than enough. So make sure you're on the flat section there when you put it in. It's very easy to do, like this. I get my new pinion gear, slide it in there, and as you can see, just like that, we are good to go. Now, another really important thing to make sure you line in this direction up correctly, so the pinion and the spur is meshed nicely, as you can see, and you generally want like a piece of paper gap thickness running through there, but if you're experienced, you know what to look for, and that feels pretty good. But also want to make sure it's aligned this way, so you want to make sure that this is like that. That's pretty dead on. Make sure that's correct, and make sure your grub screw is lying on the flat shaft there so it grips nicely and doesn't slip out. And also don't forget your Loctite. Now we're cooking with gas. Mesh is good, feels okay. If it's binding too much, you just undo these two screws here and you can kind of move the motor if you want. As you can see, it slides a little bit, has these kind of, I don't know, kind of rails it slides against here, but it's not going to be perfect because when you remove this back plate or this cover that protects the spur gear, it also undoes these two, I guess, mounting holes, which strengthens the chassis and kind of has a bit of slop once they're undone. So make sure that's tight. Once that is all good, then you can fine tune the mesh. Another quick one, you never need Loctite on the screw when you're going into plastic. Just metal, stuff like that, that can over time rattle loose with vibration. So just a quick one for you. Now, as you saw before, how this is kind of all wallowed out, I needed to get that replaced. So that is why I got this CVD set, as it comes with a brand new one. And now while I was trying to get the wheel off and having all types of issues, I snapped, see if I can get that on camera, right there. So as you can see, I snapped that drive cup right into just, I guess, padded metal, and a bit too much force snapped that free. So that's why I got a new set of those as well. So I'm pretty sure that doesn't just pull out of there. I think it's got a screw in the inside of it. So I need to get into that differential. In order to get to that, I need to get rid of all this wheelie bar mechanism because it is pretty bulky. Got four screws here and two at the bottom that's under the chassis there as well. Every time without fail in my bashing videos, I've smashed some part of this wheelie bar, the wing or the actual wheelie bar assembly itself. This time I just broke off the mounts here. I've actually got a 3D printed one of these. I'll show you later on in some future videos. It actually worked, but not when I smashed into the gutter backward facing at flat out when I was doing the speed run videos. So yeah, that wasn't fun, but anyway, a couple more screws and we'll have this off. And correction with that, there isn't any screws underneath holding the wheelie bar. That's for this plastic guard here as well. It's just these two here that you just kind of move over, but you got to watch out for the cables for this actual LED system because they pull out pretty easily. And ain't that a right royal pain in the you-know-what when you do too many hard landings on the concrete and it kind of just grinds the actual screws flush. They can't actually even get a bit in there, but here we go. We're lucky. Thank God for that. Got to also remove these two at the bottom. They're holding the differential casing together. There's two at the bottom and I think two on the top going in this direction. They are some pretty heavy duty screws. There's also these two here that are stopping us from getting inside, so we'll have to get rid of these two. And thankfully all kind of new RC cars are using hex head bits or I guess Allen keys, because I would have stripped those out already if they were normal style. Here we go. And there you have your differential, and the good thing about it, and I'm pretty happy with the CHEETAH or JLB cars because they're pretty easy to work on. Done. There's your other gear in there. That's a center drive shaft. Let's have a little bit of inspection. That looks pretty good while we're here. That's it. There we go. So there is our rear differential. Everything feels pretty nice. Now when you're undoing these and opening up a differential, you don't want to go too crazy. You want to try and keep it level so the little gears don't kind of run out everywhere on you. There we go. So there's your little spider gears in there. It does have, well, it's not that too much full of fluid, I might add a little bit while I'm here, but there we go. So there we go. I need to take that backside off to get to the other side of, well, so I can pretty much take out that drive cup. Okay, here we go. So to pull off that drive cup, you need to lift off this gear here, and as you can see, it's being retained in there via that little pin. So that's why it will never pull out from the other direction, and that's why you need to kind of pull out this whole mechanism, just because this small little pin is in there. So obviously you don't really want to break these. Where are my little tweezers? There we go. Surgery, and you can just pull that out now, and there we go. One faulty unit there. So yeah, snap, but that was my fault. Now I wasn't too sure which length I needed, because obviously you can see it comes in two sizes, so I got both, but this is the one we need. And we can't forget to put the bearing back on the other side before we camera focus, there we go, before we install it, because you won't be able to get it back on again. So slide it in there, good as gold. Oop, can't forget that washer as well. So you got, well, might as well pull it out. See, you got that little O-ring in there to kind of keep in the fluid, so that kind of retains the fluid in there. And you got this little washer that sits over there, I guess, to kind of press it down to keep that all where it needs to be. So that goes like that. If I feed everything back in, yep, that kind of looks like it was supposed to be. Kind of looks like I semi-know what I'm doing, and we've got to get that pin. Most importantly, that little pin. And mate, me with little pins and things like that, like just then it just flies. It's like I lose things so easily. It's like you drop it, and if you don't see or find out where it, like if you don't see where it landed or kind of hear where it landed, that thing's gone forever. So there we go. Done. Pin is in. Can't go anywhere. Now we can place this gear back on top, just like that. Ready to reinstall. Now to put it back together couldn't really be any easier. Make sure you line up all the screw holes, and you are ready to go. Done. Ready to put back into the rear end of the JLB CHEETAH. And you can also, if you want, add some more, grease and stuff like that. Just be mindful of the direction this came out. It can go that way or it can go this way. And you can always double check if you get confused, because the rear cover here came out in this direction, and as you can see, the grease is all splattered up on that side. So it's got to go back in that yonder. Easy as that. Let's pull back in. As you can see, everything fits in nicely. Everything rolls how it should. And actually, before I do that, I'll get this other drive shaft here, and I'll put that in there so we can easily get one side done. How is that even possible? There we go. That side's all in. I'll put the back cover on, and then we can continue and get the other drive shaft or CVD set all set up, and the new body, and that's it for the 21101 120 amp version. But the original one, I have to change the actual, these, what are they called, steering blocks at the front, because they were getting a little bit sloppy, and I think that's the reasoning why I was a little bit crap on steering. And I must admit, so far so good. The CHEETAH's pretty easy to work on. No real complaints. Just, you can't really blame a kit for this, of the screws grounding down like that. It's just how much of a idiot you are driving it, like me, slamming down on the concrete and stuff like that. So yeah, so far getting back together, no complaints. Okay, now to fix the rear drive shaft, we need to obviously be able to get into here and feed the drive shaft into that cup and through this carrier here through the bearing. So you just need to undo these little, they're like a massive grub screw, or looks like a grub screw, but it's feeding this particular screw, and that is how you can adjust your positive and negative camber camber, sorry, with these pillow ball style suspension. So once you feed all that out like that, as you can see, now we can get underneath there. And here is our new drive shaft CBD, and you see it's got this pin running through there. You've got to make sure that this, I guess it's like a collar, is correct. So it covers that pin, so once it's in the carrier it can't pop out. See, it's really, you can only really go one way. It looks like it fits that way, but it needs to go over it like that, so that pin can never come out during abuse. So fairly easy to install. Pop it in one side, the bearings are still in there. Kind of stretch it a little bit, manipulate it, and as you can see, if I get that camera, as you can see there, the dog bone is in there nicely. And kind of hold it together and don't move it too much, otherwise everything can pop out again. Kind of just put everything in there by hand and tighten it away. Make sure both sides are the same, the camber and all that kind of stuff, or it gives you a good time to adjust it now if you want, but yeah, just from factory how it was. But now that's in there a little bit. Sorry, like I mentioned, there is like a massive grub screw, and that is it. It's kind of in front of the screw here that adjusts your toe in and toe out. So when I was undoing it, it was gripping this and that one, but so now all I need to do is do it back up again. Just put your small Allen in there. As you can see, everything will start going in how it should, and that looks pretty good there. No issues. Ready to go. So that is that part done. Don't worry about that movement because that'll be taken up. And this guy goes on and he runs a pin, if I can get it to focus, through there, and it kind of takes up the slack. So never lose those pins because they are right royal pain. But got a good tip for you guys. If you ever need like suspension pins or these type of things, and you just need a flat one with no like indentation or thread in it, just go buy a length of like this diameter rod. You need stainless steel rod on eBay. I got like a length of like 1 meter, 3 or 4 mil stainless steel rod for like what was it? I think $4, and you can just cut it to length. So put that on there, line up the hole down here, just like that. Now I hope you guys like this type of series. If you like it, let me know. I'll start doing some more, because generally I've just been kind of fixing stuff off camera, and yeah, just a little bit quicker. But there we go. That is in there, as we can see. Sweet. Everything fits. Now if you feel that it's a little bit too binding up, just undo one of these a little bit, because there we go, it's a little bit free, because what's that going to do? It's going to squash and push the drive shaft right up against inside that cup here and let it bind up a little bit. So that's all you need to do. So far so good. Happy with that. So at the end of it we have a nice clean bench and ready to rock and roll. That looks good. Now let's get the other body. Oh yeah, brand new. Now we're talking. So that's an upgraded model. Let's go get the other one. Okay, now here I have the original 21101, not the upgraded model, and you can see this section here. It's kind of not as it should. The other side is much better. I think the plastic has been eaten out from the inside. Too many hard hits or front landings on the one side, causing it to bind up. And even with this upgraded steering servo here that I've done a tutorial how to put it in there, still it seems a little bit sloppy. So I'm going to get this wheel out, and that's why I got this other set here of steering blocks. Hopefully just change this one side out and see if that makes a difference, because I think it will. I have this steel spur gear. I don't need that. Both of these are still fine, but I got this anyway when I got the rest of the parts. But maybe in another video, if I rip one of those spur gears apart, I can show you how to put that together. Yeah, you can certainly see, got the front wheel off now. I'm pretty sure this was done when the front wheel flew off when I was doing a speed test, and this just cartwheeled for like God forever. And I think that's cause issues. You can see that's actually, it looks like, yeah, let's peel this off. Now I forgot to mention before when I was doing the upgraded model that you have these big grub screws here. They lock this all together, and they have a larger diameter there. A larger diameter, but you can also fit the smaller diameter, which is the head for this particular screw that runs in here and ties this block to the A-arms, and you can adjust it without taking this big block off. But because these are all out of whack, I'm going to have to take these off anyway. Now I don't know if you've ever come across this as well, but when I do hard bashing with these cheetahs and you land in a particular way or give throttle when you're coming off a like double backflip or something, you'll bend these axles, and you can see it's got a bit of a banana to it. You can always bend these back. Don't go ahead and just buy another one for the sake of it. Put them in a vise and bend it back to its, you know, better than what it was, because they'll still run when it's a little bit wonky. But I had problems when it was actually too bent, hitting the bottom or lower A-arm. It's all smacking into the shock here. So just bend it back. Don't buy a new one unless you really need to. Just a tip. Got to make sure you get all your old hardware out of there. Those two big screws and these two ball bearings. Just be careful with those. Don't go too crazy to get them out. You might damage them. Here we go. Happy days. The left one is a brand new one, and the right one is a bit chewed up. And hopefully that's the issue, because it was a bit really sloppy. I think this was the culprit right here. Bearings back in. They all look pretty good. Make sure it is the right size. Yes, it is. They feel pretty good. Let's have a feel of those. They'll do the job for a bashing vehicle or vehicle. And there we go. Put everything back together. Put all these in, and hopefully that will make a difference. The right side seems okay, but I'll put it all up and see how it looks. Oh, yep, definitely feels much better. There's no binding there. And this side is good as well. So that definitely was the issue. There was something chewed out in there that was causing issue, and too much slop, and yeah, just causing a lot of binding. And it's, yeah, even though it's a pretty beefy steering servo, it was still binding up. So that must have been the cause. So let me put this back on and put the wheel back on as well. If it don't go in the first time, hit it harder. There we go. Sweet. And that's much better. Nowhere near as much binding, so happy with that. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this kind of RC mechanic, RC pit stop for the JLB cheetahs. These are both the 21101 version. This is the original 80 amp model. The other one was 120 amp model. All the parts will be in the description. Yeah, any questions, please leave them down below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks guys.